Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I know that I've taken a little bit of a break. It's summertime in Australia. I know a lot of you are in North America. Most of my clients are in North America. But it's summer down here. So it's been warm. My kids are on summer holiday. So I do try to step back a little bit during this time and practice what I preach and have some downtime. I also always prioritize my clients and their cases and researching their cases, right? That comes first. So I've been doing that, enjoying a wee little bit of a break, not really, but a little bit. But I'm here now. So we're going to jump in and talk about health trends to buck in 2025. I want to talk about biohacking. I want to talk about, some of my opinions on some of these things, whether I think that they are necessary. I think what I really want to get out, though, in this episode is that, first of all, there's no magic solution. There's no silver bullet. There's no one answer to your health symptoms. I think a lot of the times people and women, and I used to be like this a long, long time ago, are looking for that one thing. And social media does not help, right? There's people out there saying your issues are all born out of parasites. BS. Oh, complete BS. That one really bothers me. You probably don't need to do a parasite cleanse. All your issues are brought about because you have mold. Another BS thing. Or, somebody commented in my community on Instagram the other day that EBV was the main reason why anybody has a thyroid issue. Bull, you know what? So I don't know, this really gets me because I think we can get really stuck into the minutia. And I think that people on social media do not help by perpetuating these myths, So what we need to do is we need to step back and we need to look at, are the foundations in place? Because oftentimes the issues lie when the foundations are not in place. Here's another example. I was just speaking to a client actually, and she was saying she doesn't have a lot of anxiety or stress issues. That's not really her issues. Her issues are digestive. She has SIBO. It's very, very clear. But she said to me, oh, I bought this supplement and I wanted to know if I should take it, right? And if she should keep buying it. And I said, okay, well, what is it? And she told me what it was and I looked it up then and there. And it was a stress support supplement. Keep in mind, this lady was not under a ton of stress. She didn't have sleep issues. She doesn't have anxiety. That's not really her thing. And so first of all, we have to question, why would we buy this, right? And it's part of the reasons is because these companies or these influencers are putting these things in front of your face on Facebook or Instagram or marketing to you like these are the magic solution. Like all you need is this stress supplement for $78 for 1 month, mind you, is what this supplement was. It's never the answer. It's like I see all these menopause supplements out there or perimenopause supplements out there, and I look at what's in these things for the amount of money. There's various different brands out there. And for the amount of money you spend on these things, and a lot of them have stuff in it that is not going to do much for you, especially as a perimenopausal woman, right? I've talked about this ad nauseum, Vitex and Don Quai and Maca and Wild Yan. They're not going to give you the benefits of real deal hormones, but even hormones are not a magic solution either. Just keep that in mind. But my point is back to this lady. So she said, should I buy this supplement? Should I take this supplement? I said, absolutely not. It had asparagus, rhodiola, and phosphatidylserine. So first of all, if you need a stress support supplement, I said to this lady who was not doing anything to actively get into a restored rest and digest state, I said to her, let's save your $78 a month and do 30 minutes of deep breathing or meditation or something to get into a restored state every single day. Right? The foundations are what matter. It's those daily consistent routines, diet and lifestyle habits that are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, not the $78 random supplement with a few things in it that I don't even think sound that good. And hot tip, and I did put this on Instagram, if you do need a stress support supplement, there's one that I love. It's called Theanine Serene. You get it off iHerb. It's like $13 for a month's supply. It's got therapeutic dosages of wonderful nutrients like L-theanine and GABA and holy basil or Relora, depends what blend you get. That is one that I do recommend if you truly are having sleep issues or anxiety issues or whatnot. But again, it just comes all the way back to what I'm trying to talk about today, which is there's no magic solution. There's no perimenopause combo supplement, no stress support combo supplement that is going to make you feel better in and of itself. We have to zoom out and think about what are we doing on a daily basis. It is the daily basis, healthy lifestyle habits that are going to make all the difference. And it's a lifestyle, right? This is a lifestyle. We need to be thinking consistently about how are we living our life? What are we eating? Are we hydrated? What is our stress like? What is our sleep like? So we'll get into it. But, you know, you've got these people out there also on social media saying everything's born out of, parasites, or because you're not doing colonics. Don't do colonics. Do not do colonics. That's my opinion. But colonics are going to flush out the good bacteria in your gut. I think I can understand why they're a draw card for people. They think, oh, great, just flush that poop out of me. How clean, and, but that's not necessarily the right way to think, and it can actually do you damage, right? Because you're flushing out the good with the bad. So colonics, I do not recommend, just a hot tip FYI. But if you've got somebody out there really beating the drum about how all symptoms are due to mold, or all symptoms are due to MTHFR, or all symptoms are due to parasites, I don't know, we could probably, or all symptoms are due to food sensitivities. If they're saying this, you might want to stop following them, because the chances are your symptoms are not all due to one particular thing. I'm not saying that MTHFR or mast cell activation syndrome or food sensitivities or parasites. I mean, food sensitivities is a funny one. I've talked about them before. It's the gut that's the problem, not the foods usually. But I'm not saying that all these things are absolutely never an issue, but just don't get focused in on them with tunnel vision. It's a combination of things that's led to people feeling like crap or having poor health. So, MTHFR is is an example. You may or may not know what that is. Some people really do know what it is, and they really think, oh, I've got MTHFR, so I must take these B vitamins, and it's doing this to me, and it's doing that to me, and it's making my liver sluggish, and it's causing me not to methylate my estrogen very well, and da-da-da. Not necessarily. I have MTHFR. I have homozygous MTHFR, double mutation. But last check, my methylation of my estrogen was fantastic, right? So it's got to do, your genes are not your fate. And the way that you live your life on a daily basis is what's going to impact the way that those genes serve you or don't serve you. It's like, why does one lady get mast cell activation syndrome and another doesn't, right? It's to do with the landscape of that person. It's to do with their microbiome. It's to do with their nutrient load. It's to do with their stress levels. It's to do with how well they sleep, etc. By the way, my door is open because if it wasn't, I'd be cooking in this office. So I know you might have some nature sounds coming through. So sorry about that. So here are some health trends that I want you to be very, very wary of in 2025, and not think that any one of these is your magic ticket to freedom of your symptoms. Keto diets. No, 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 no. I have spoken out about keto for years. I've never recommended keto. Maybe some people need to do a little bit lower carb, but if you truly follow the ketogenic diet, you follow that for a long period of time, you are ultimately going to destroy your gut health. Our guts thrive when we feed them a diverse range of fruit and vegetables. The research is very, very clear on this. You must eat, sorry, those cicadas are getting really noisy. You must eat a diverse amount of fruits, vegetables, and fiber. Our gut loves fiber. Fiber is not the enemy. Again, these social media people out there saying that fiber is harmful or you don't need fiber, that's another it's BS. It's absolutely incorrect. If you cannot eat fiber for whatever reason, you need to do stool testing, maybe gut test, colonic testing, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth testing, maybe both. You need to work with a certified gut practitioner, such as myself and my team practitioner, Michelle. You need to work with an expert who can heal that gut of yours so you can eat the fiber. Because if you do not eat that fiber, you are going to make your health will deteriorate, because the gut is linked to everything. The gut is linked to dementia. The gut is linked to cancer. The gut is linked to metabolic health, weight gain, like skin health, everything. Everything has roots to one degree or another in your gut health. And that's why whenever I work with a client, we run a stool test and or a SIBO test with them. So do not do keto. It's going to disrupt your thyroid. It's going to destroy your gut. It is not recommended. It is not necessary. You want to maintain your weight or even lose weight and be a fit and a healthy weight that you feel good at in midlife and beyond, well into menopause. You can do that without doing the keto diet. We help our ladies with this all the time. So not needed, not recommended. Colonics, don't do them. Carnivore diet, even worse than keto, probably, same deal. And so maybe you're saying, well, I went carnivore or I went keto, or I know people who have, and they cleared up all their symptoms. Temporarily, perhaps. And let's think about why. How are they eating beforehand? How are they living beforehand? Usually, before somebody does something really extreme, they are eating or living in a crappy way. They're eating a crappy diet, living poorly, and suddenly they go, I'm going to go on a health kick. And for some reason, they think extreme is better than moderate and just starting to eat protein and produce, right? So they go, I'm just going to wipe all that fiber out of my diet. I'm going to go carnivore. I'm going to go keto, and I'm just going to go extreme here. Well, now they're probably eating whole foods. Maybe they're sleeping better, maybe they're exercising, right? There's a lot of confounding factors we have to think about. And so maybe they do feel better temporarily, or they are removing the fiber from their diet so that they're not having the symptoms, not realizing the long-term implications, and that removing the fiber isn't the answer. It's healing the gut that's going to give them the long-term answers and optimal health. So it makes sense that somebody might feel better short term. Maybe they even lose some weight, but is it done in a sustainable or healthy way? Is it done in a way that is going to promote their health later down the track or impede their health? And I'm telling you, keto and carnivore diets will impede your health long term, not recommended. Cold plunges is another one, biohacking. I did a podcast episode last year on cold plunges. I did a fair bit of research into them. And what I deduced was they're not that beneficial for much, except for exercise recovery. If you have had success with cold plunges, all the power to you. Maybe they can help in some instances, but the research just isn't there to really, for me, to promote or endorse cold plunges for most people. They sound miserable to me. I certainly had my fair share. I try to implement many things. I'm a little bit of a guinea pig that way, but these cold plunges were miserable. And I think that they might have made my nervous system at that time more stressed. But when I dove into the research, I just couldn't see, this wasn't very compelling research. And thank God, because I don't want to be doing them. If there was compelling research, I'd be doing them, but there wasn't. And I think we're seeing this bear out more and more in the literature as well. What there is research for and what is really good for you, and thank God, is sauntering, right? Hot therapy. There's some really good research. I've been meaning to do a podcast episode, but the amount of research that I have to troll through that I've got and I've been trying to is huge. So thank God for that, because I want a sauna and I will be getting one. But cold plunges, no, I don't think they're going to answer your solution, your symptom questions. Coffee enemas, I don't believe there's any research behind them. Do I think they're bad? No, I would never say that. Do I think they're good? No, I would never say that. Do I recommend them? No, I don't. Again, it's like the supplement that my client wanted to buy for no good reason, just because she's probably being marketed to, right? Oh, it's so funny. My camera just follows me everywhere. It's weird. So when it comes to these coffee enemas, what else could you do or spend your money on that's going to give you more bang for your buck? And it's going to help you more so than these coffee enemas, is what I'm trying to get at. Bulletproof coffee, do not do it. Saturated fat, it's very, very concrete in the literature that saturated fat harms the microbiome, too much of it. Now, I love butter just as much as the next person. I'm not going to reduce my saturated fat down to a teeny tiny amount. I'm not going to avoid butter. I don't have any reason to. And when I say reason to, it really comes down to your microbiome. We can see when we do a really good stool test, we no longer run the GI maps. They just don't show us this data. But when you run a really good stool test, you can see if you've got particular bacteria that are gobbling up the saturated fat, that are then overgrowing and causing issues in your microbiome. So, I don't have any reason to particularly count my saturated fat or significantly reduce it, but I do reduce it wherever I can with ease. For example, I have low-fat yogurt. If I'm having yogurt or cottage cheese, something like that, I'll choose low-fat as much as possible. I have a little bit of milk in my coffee. I used to have cream, but I don't do that anymore. because of the saturated fat. So instead, I actually have a light milk, a splash of light milk in my coffee. I do not cook with ghee. I do not cook with butter. I do not cook with coconut oil. I cook with extra virgin olive oil. It is a myth that you cannot cook with extra virgin olive oil on high heat. That is not true. You can. And in fact, you actually extract more of the beneficial compounds from food when you cook with extra virgin olive oil. So do not do bulletproof coffee is what I'm saying. That saturated fat, you do not need extra. Enjoy your saturated fat where you like it and want it, but do not layer extra on top. We talk to our clients a lot about this when we talk about their gut health, when we look at their colon, their stool tests, we talk about saturated fat. So bulletproof coffee is not the answer. All the extremes, carnivore, keto, even the blood sugar control, right? There was a lot of talk about blood sugar control, and I got really excited about it too. And I've done many CGMs, the continuous glucose monitors, and I do think they're interesting, but I don't think they are the magic solution. And there are people out there talking about blood sugar control like it is the be all end all. And there's other people out there talking about fasting like it's the be all end all. And this is dangerous because women, and I have fallen for this before myself, women get really excitable about these things and think that's the answer, or it is, or they think it's a bigger deal than maybe it is. So blood sugar control is important. Yeah, of course it is. Maybe it's more important for somebody else than another person, but it is not the golden ticket. It should not be the full sole thing that you focus on. And, fasting is another one. I really think fasting is problematic for perimenopausal women. I don't think it is a good strategy on a regular basis. I think that it is used often as an excuse to not eat a lot in order to maintain weight. And I think women fool themselves thinking, oh, I'm not going to eat till 11 or 12 o'clock because I'm being really healthy by fasting. But really, it's caloric restriction, which is not inherently a dangerous or bad thing necessarily, but I think we have to look at the broader picture, right? So if you have weight issues, there are so many things we have to consider. We need to think about thyroid health. We need to think about gut health. We need to think about your hormones. We need to think about your muscle. We need to think about your exercise. We need to think about your sleep. There's a lot of things to think about, but I don't think that fasting or long-term fasting is necessarily a good thing. And I think that ultimately you could end up quite nutrient depleted. You're going to be just very careful. But I just think that, when we've got these huge influencers out there who are promoting blood sugar or carnivore or keto or fasting like it's the magic solution or the most important thing, I think we really do run into coffee. I was looking at my notes, run into trouble. I had written a note here that a client of mine was putting MCT oil in her coffee, a teaspoon of coconut oil in her coffee. She was doing oil pulling, and that was just circling back to that saturated fat that I was talking about. Please don't do these things. Oil pulling, I am not somebody who's looked into it. I have not done the research into it, but I'll tell you why, because I don't think it's that important that I need to. I think there's, again, far more beneficial things. Nutrient repletion. I am going to spend my time looking at studies on the microbiome, studies on nutrients, studies on BHRT. I'm going to look and spend my time on these types of things that I know are imperative instead of spending my time looking into oil pulling. So I have not looked into it. So again, it's like coffee enemas. I don't think there's research on coffee enemas, but oil pulling, I have no idea if it's fantastic, if it's terrible. I know, though, that you're putting extra saturated fat into your body, which your gut won't love. And I just think that it's also time spent on something that you may not need to do. What are you sacrificing to do that oil pulling? What are you sacrificing to do that seed cycling in midlife, right? The time and the energy to do some of these things, the cold plunges, the oil pulling, the seed cycling, what could you be doing otherwise? It's definitely going to support you, right? That's definitely going to give you support, build a foundation, give you more bang for your buck. Okay, so restriction, usually never the answer. Okay, I think we've talked about that. Some of the biohacking tools, maybe they're not as fantastic as they're cracked up to be. I'm not saying that restriction is never needed. Sometimes if you've got really bad gut issues, you've got SIBO, you might need a low FODMAP diet temporarily. It will destroy your gut health long term, or maybe you need to go low fructose temporarily, right? But these things should be very temporary and very strategic and only done with a practitioner who truly knows what they're doing when it comes to gut health, because it's truly what the diet is going to impact. One of the most is your gut health, and then obviously your nutrient levels too. Okay, so what does work? What do we focus on? In 2025, instead of focusing on these things necessarily, what are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on the consistent, daily, healthy diet and lifestyle habits that are going to get you bang for your buck. You're going to live your life like this. And when you start to implement these as daily lifestyle strategies, you will potentially see a lot of things improve, right? So these may not be that sexy or eye-catching on social media, but they will not fail you. Getting enough sleep. So let's say at the moment you're going to bed at like 11 o'clock, or you're going to bed at 11:30, like dial it back, go to bed at 10 o'clock or go to bed at 10:30, get an extra 30 minutes of sleep, get good quality sleep, right? Walking in weights. And by the way, you might have heard me say this before, but my motto, I haven't got many, I've got one, for midlife women or perimenopause women is protein and produce, walking and weights. That is a motto in midlife and menopause and beyond that will never, ever fail you. We don't want to be doing tons and tons of cardio in midlife. We want to be building muscle. So if you can only fit in walking and weights, that's all you need. That's fantastic. And protein and produce. Doesn't mean you can't have some grains, but primarily protein and produce. So you're going to sleep, you're going to get in some walking, weights, you're going to build muscle, imperative. You're going to eat protein, eat enough protein. I've talked about protein a lot. You're going to eat diverse array of produce, because I've talked about why. The fiber, what our gut biome feeds on is our produce. You're going to work on your gut health. Even if you don't have gut symptoms, you want to do a yearly gut stool test. Really important. Check that box. Just like you do your other testing with your primary care physician, do a yearly stool test and check your microbiome, because you may not feel it, but your gut is aging and your gut is atrophying. And so your gut is aging. And so you want to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to support your gut health, to support your microbiome. Your gut is either driving your inflammation up or it's bringing your inflammation down. And you can't always feel any of this. You don't have to have these GI symptoms to have an unhealthy gut, to have a microbiome that is working against you. And again, these microbiomes play a pivotal role in diseases like dementia, osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, cancer. So you want to tick that box every single year, get that stool test done every single year, and make sure that you're working with somebody who knows how to manipulate the microbiome with foods and prebiotics and probiotics to support a healthy microbiome that reduces inflammation and that's working for your health, not against your health. Working on nutrients, so running blood tests and an HTMA. I love both. You can tell a lot from both blood and HTMA if the practitioner knows what they're looking at. They are nuanced, blood and HTMA, very nuanced. There's some complexities there, but if you work with somebody who truly understands blood and HTMA, that's how you're really going to support that, the nutrition in your body. Reduce your stress, do some saunas if you want to. I love peptides. I think there is a time and a place for peptides. I'm not a guru. I am going to be interviewing Dr. Tina Moore shortly on the podcast. Very excited for that. So we're going to talk a lot about GLP-1s, other peptides, BPC 157 I've used before. Not an expert, but I do like these peptides, and it's an area that I would like to explore more. But stay tuned for the episode with Dr. Tina Moore, because I think GLP-1s are a longevity tool and they have far more benefit than just for weight loss. Replace those low hormones, right? You know, I'm a big fan. You want to bring on board BHRT. Do not be scared about it. I've talked about this so much that I'm getting sick of myself talking about it. But low hormones are going to be very, very problematic, and your risk of many disease states is going to skyrocket if you have low hormones. I don't know that you want to wait till you're symptomatic to bring hormones on. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but you want to replace low hormones. They're not a magic solution, though. Again, just like all these other things, they're not going to be a magic solution in and of themselves. I've talked about that a lot. Good hydration as well. Bring on board enough water daily, but you want to have the electrolytes in that water too. Okay. And listen, if you're doing a lot of these things, and let's say you haven't done the testing yet, and you're checking off the exercise and the diet, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, I didn't say things like cut out processed foods and alcohol, but that goes without saying. Let's say that you're doing a lot of these things and you're still not feeling great. You might want to go that step further, right? And you might want to be doing the testing and diving in a little bit deeper, and then working with somebody who can actually super sleuth your case and be a detective for you and see where the gaps and the holes are and help you to fill them so that you can kick your symptoms and you can feel better. Because I truly, truly believe that you can feel better in midlife than you even did in your 20s, because I do. I truly do. So that's it for today. I hope that was inspiring. As always, please share this out and share it with your friends and your family. Take a screenshot, add it to social media, tag me on Instagram. I'm at Thorne Health. Come on over, follow me on Instagram, reach out to me, DM me, get chatting with me. I am here to help you in whatever way I can. But that's it for now. So I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now. I am not a medical professional, and the information provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. I do not have access to your individual medical history or circumstances, so the content discussed here should not be considered as medical advice. Before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or considering the use of supplements, please consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your doctor to ensure it's safe and appropriate for your specific situation. Any decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in.